Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crossing Route NFL podcast. I am your host, as always, Adani with Adani's Gamerspace, and I am joined today with Maul. So it's been a few weeks since we did one of these. The last one we did was actually week 4. Hopefully, we'll be much more on top of getting these out to y'all.
Consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
consistent about getting these out to y'all. But we're gonna work our way through the at least the important parts and hopefully get caught up today. So it's just the two of us, but we got plenty to talk about. So
Very
um,
much.
so the last time we were here, we talked about concussions. Since then, the NFL has updated their policies, deemed the deemed that the Dolphins didn't do anything wrong, and Tua has since been incredible. Like although he did play poorly against the Steelers when he came back, and we did lose the two games that he had to miss due to the concussion. But since then, he has been balling out and is officially, as of today, the second highest odd to win the NFL MVP behind Patrick Mahomes, who has also been balling out of his mind. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's been a ride over these years over the years. It's felt like years if you're a Steelers fan. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's felt like I went through a whole childhood of abuse these past few weeks. Uh, like I mean, no, there's been a lot of interesting things, a lot of surprising things, a lot of crazy things, all from we were going into week 5 last time we talked. Like week 4 had just happened, and we had just lost to the Jets, and at that time that was a big deal. I mean, because like who thought the Jets would be relevant? That was Kenny's first game that he got put in. Steelers wise, there's a lot of big changes, a lot of things happening in the league at that point. Now we know kind of where who teams are, um and there's still some questionable teams like that are still finding their way through. And I think the Steelers are one of them. Like this week, I think that we proved, we had 251 rushing yards, and we played good defense. I mean, great defense with TJ Watt back. That was a big factor, um to get to a third win. We just lost our only undefeated team this week.
yep, the O had to
Uh,
go finally.
and the Commanders are 5-5 on the season, so their season is not over. Everything is up in the air. They're supposed to get Carson Wentz back, and as far as I understand it, Taylor Heineke is like, if I'm a backup, I'm a backup. If I'm a starter, I'm a starter. And it sounds to me like fans and some of the players kind of want Taylor as the quarterback, not Carson.
I don't. I mean, Taylor Heineke, man. Like,
He's a dog.
look, man. He his football IQ has to be like through the roof, because
Mhm.
like I mean, I don't know. I would say the game. Like I watched the game. Obviously, I was rooting for the Commanders because I'm a Dolphin fan. I wanted the O to go. Um, so his
I have Terry McLaurin in my fantasy, so I was going for that reason.
so so the snap over his head, like, did you, I don't know if you saw that play, but that was an incredible, like, football, like, IQ move. He was able to get out of he got the ball and was able to get it back to the line of scrimmage. If he had like just fell on it, that would have been like, he would have lost like 30 yards. Like, that's how far that ball went. And he was able to throw it back to the line of scrimmage. And then at the end, when he kneeled, like,
Uh,
oh my
that
God.
uh,
It's
yeah,
like,
that was. I know Brandon Graham who's a great defensive end, great leader. I know he had to feel terrible because I mean I don't know, that was kind of a ticky tacky call, as they call, but because it was a momentum thing, but
I mean, if you
you know
watch
you,
it, I
you
mean,
still,
he took 4 steps. Like it's not like he was right there, like right there in his face when he kneeled. He's like do, and then hit him. And granted, the hit was light, I would say, but it was
yeah, you
clearly,
could tell he was,
yeah,
but it was clearly defenseless,
yeah.
and
You
that's
clearly you he knew, the defender knew what he was doing. Like and
yeah.
that's the difference, is that he could have easily just like threw himself to the side. Like, but how many times do you see a quarterback kneel in the game of, like, in the state of the game, like in the live game, not just kneeling to run the clock out. Like, he kneeled in the realm of the game. Like, how you don't see that.
Yeah, he ran like 12 yards backwards before he kneeled. But like what's crazy, and what talking about the Commanders, the Buccaneers winning over the Seahawks, which we'll get into I'm sure shortly, because my boy Gino, um the Buccaneers are 5-5, the same record as the Washington Commanders, which is, anybody, like, on paper should not be close. When you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones as you're with Leonard Fournette, who's hurt right now. And I've known they've had injuries over the time, and Tom's been going through all his stuff. But it's just a crazy world we're living in. I think it goes into kind of what we were talking about last time that we had our podcast, where a lot of these older franchise quarterbacks, we're seeing them go on the downward slope. And the only one that's really, I'm looking at the teams right now just to make sure I'm not missing anybody, but the only older quarterback that's really making it through is, in my opinion anyways, is Kirk Cousins.
Why?
In that age group, like the early 30s.
Well, hold on. Kirk Cousins was drafted in the same draft as Tannehill, and Tannehill. Granted,
Tannehill got benched.
No, he didn't get benched. He was injured.
Oh, he was injured?
Yeah. He was injured. Matt Ryan got benched, and then now he's back. Now he was back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tannehill is coming off actually a really good game. I actually did not know that. I didn't really pay attention to that to Tennessee's game against Denver because, Tennessee has just been giving the ball to Derrick Henry a million times, and he's been going for 200 yards. Which actually, I just pulled this up. This past weekend, the Denver Broncos actually held him to 53 yards.
Yeah.
Rushing.
Yeah. Tannehill had some good plays. He had that flea flicker for the touchdown. That was a good. But I mean, that man was wide open. Like, I mean, he could have ran. Did you see the? Speaking of wide open, did you see the Kadarius Toney touchdown?
where you hopped on the one leg? That was so silly. Speaking of the Chiefs, like when we were talking about concussions, Juju Smith-Schuster, that was a gruesome hit.
Yeah, that was really bad.
And I haven't really heard, I haven't seen any super updates about it or anything. I know he got taken out of the game. I'd have to check back into it.
Well, I mean, he's in the concussion protocol. I mean, he's okay. It's just, I mean, as much as you can be okay with a concussion, but right. I mean, that's
So I do stand corrected. Tannehill and Kirk Cousins are the two, and they're from the same draft class. They're both 32, I believe, this year, 32, 33, around there. But as for Tom Brady's 5-5, Andy Dalton is 3-7. You have 3-7.
Although I will say Tom Brady's stats are still pretty decent considering.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not.
letting him down this year. I mean, but it's also like he's also had some really bad games, like as well. Like he's had some really good games, but he's had some like it's for the go like. But as for a downward year for the GOAT, it's really been like the word I would use is rickety.
Yeah.
Like like he's taking steps forward, but you're like, when's it gonna fall through? You know what I mean? Because like the Rams are 3-6 for Stafford. I know he's going through injury right now. The Raiders, Derek Carr is like playing okay, but they're garbage. The Colts, Matt Ryan, point like he was just not doing enough. There's oh like and he granted that was a good game.
Sorry, which one?
Comeback, but
It cut out. Sorry, which game?
The Packers they're 4-6,
Mm-hmm.
and so out of all those older quarterbacks, I mean, then you have Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess, but they're still only 5-4. Like there's no all the standout teams that are above anything. You only have two older quarterbacks, and granted, Tennessee's only one game ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady, but they're 6-3. That's a lot different than because they've had their bye already.
Well, 6-3 is relative to the rest of the division. I mean, they're in a very weak division, so 6-3 is. I mean, they're what 2 or 3 games ahead of the Colts, and I'm pretty because the Colts are what 4-5-1, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they just got their first win under Jeff Saturday.
Jeff Saturday, yeah, that's
who like a couple weeks ago, his last game he was coaching high school and they lost, and he was coaching a Georgia high school and they lost their last game.
Hey, look.
So he went from losing a high school game to winning an NFL game. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I look at when if Mike McDaniel, who didn't call plays, who was just strictly a scheme, he was an offensive coordinator, strictly a scheme guy, never called plays. If he can go and do what he's done in Miami, I'm not saying anything for when it comes to, how good or how bad. Like, because Mike Vrabel didn't coach anywhere before he became a head coach that I'm aware of. Like he was a football player, and then
I think he was an assistant.
Okay, so I mean, how long was he assistant before he became? I mean, he couldn't be that long because he was in the league forever.
I think it was. I believe he was an assistant, but he was an assistant in the NFL. The big thing about Jeff Saturday was he had all the years of playing in the NFL, and he had never coached beyond a high school level, and there was big issues because they had Reggie Wayne, who is coaching for the team.
Yeah.
And like who could have been brought in, who has all that experience and things like that, and so it just made into a big debacle. But regardless,
I'm completely on board. I mean, I definitely see it for sure, and I think that if the Colts, if the Colts end up doing well, I think the biggest issue is going to be if when the season is over. If Jeff Saturday puts some strings wins together, like are the Colts just going to be satisfying the Rooney Rule? Like, are they going to be interviewing minority coaches just to satisfy the Rooney Rule, just to give Jeff Saturday the job? And I think that's going to be the biggest problem overall with that whole circumstance. Is that I mean, other than that, I have no problem with what they decided to do, because to be honest, when they said they were signing Jeff Saturday and starting Sam Ellinger, I was like, all right, they're tanking. I mean, that's what I thought was happening. But when they put Matt Ryan in, I was like, okay, maybe not. And then they won. So
that messed up a lot of people's fantasy. Like, I mean, obviously they don't give a shit about fantasy, but like But there wasn't like people were like waiting for it because normally okay, this person's getting the start. At least even game time decisions, like you'll have like a 10-minute, 15-minute window. They didn't even get that for this. So I mean, it was like right before they went out, he must have got told. Like there was no time for fans to know. It was so
But hey, I mean, if you're starting Sam Ellinger or Matt Ryan, you're probably not going to win anyway.
I don't know, man. Matt Ryan won the game, but also they were going against the Raiders, who is god awful this year. But they could be also tanking for that young quarterback over there in Alabama.
Speaking of the Raiders, can we just take a second and just I mean, I'm gonna be real. Josh McDaniel is a terrible coach. Like how do you take a playoff team? How do you take a playoff team last year and basically make them garbage and essentially the same team? Like, you didn't lose. You actually added Devontae Adams, which is basically the best receiver in the NFL, and somehow you made him garbage too.
No, they haven't made him garbage. He still has his stats. They just whatever he's done. So Hunter Renfrow before this season has proven that he can be one of the best number 2s / slots in the league, whether it's volume of catches, getting first downs, things of that nature.
Yep, third Renfrow.
Whatever scheme that Josh has brought to the Raiders is hot garbage, because the only person that and it even looks like it when you're watching the game. It's just like Carr is just like, Devontae's freaking somewhere, man. You know what I mean? Like, just gotta throw it to somewhere. Like, he'll be there. I mean, like, when you look at it, like, it's not bad. They lost by 5. They lost by 6. They lost by 2. They won, and then they lost by 1, and then they won, and then they lost by 7 and 5. But the worst loss came from the Saints when they lost 24-0. Outside of that Saints game, the most they've lost by is 7. It's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those situations to where, like, it looks like they're trying. That's why I said that it feels like a tank season, because it looks like if you look at it on paper from score-wise, it looks like they're trying, but it's just not there. And even Devontae Adams said in a post interview, he was like, not everybody in here is signed on. Is what he said about the team. Not everybody's like signed on to the team, like, and so that's a big deal. Like, you want to know the craziest team to me, and they're not doing well, but they're doing something, and they're like in the middle of the NFC right now. I believe they're 4. Yeah, they're 4-6, so they're not obviously doing great. But it's the Atlanta Falcons. What is any game involving the Atlanta Falcons right now? Do you understand what, like, you get what I mean, right? Like, is that an NFL team?
When they lost,
is it a team?
When they lost to the Chargers, the way they lost to the Chargers, I was just because I'm.
That's very funny.
That was insane. Like, how do you fumble a fumble, and like the guy didn't even get touched? Like, literally, the ball just fell out of his arm. Like, it didn't. I just, like, when you watch it, he's just chugging along. All of a sudden, oop! Where'd the ball go? I was like, oh my god.
Well, talk about a team that's like vying for a top 10 pick. I mean. But do they even go quarterback? Like, that's the thing, like, because that's an interesting one for me, because they drafted a quarterback, and they're not playing Desmond.
I will say this.
And he played fine for the preseason.
I will say this. Marcus Mariota is, when he is not under pressure, he is playing top 5 quarterback football when he's not under pressure. I'm telling you, this is true stats. When he is not under pressure, he is playing top 5 at quarterback football. When he's under pressure, he's playing bottom 5 at a quarterback football. So, if you're taking that into account, which I don't think you do, but I'm just saying, if you do, you go offensive line. But I think you absolutely...
You have to look at it. He's been sacked 26 times this year.
I'm telling you, there's
he has 340. He's had to run 63 times, 347 yards, and he only has 1,700 passing yards, which isn't terrible because I think the leader has like 27, so he's only like 1,000. What 1,000 is a lot, but
well, it's not a lot. It's not a lot in relation to the fact that the 2,700 is Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, his leading receiver only has 400 yards.
Who?
And that's Drake London.
Oh yeah, well Drake London's been injured, but yeah, I mean it's.
Yeah, well, Drake London still has the most catches. Like he has the most like. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Drake London, and I think this stat will tell you like. It could be a throw on the run that was inaccurate because, like you said, whenever he's pressured, Mariota's pressured. It may because that target's going to be put on the stat sheet, but wherever that ball goes, this is whatever. London has played in all 10 games.
Okay, did he just get injured then? Because I heard he was injured.
I think so.
Okay.
He has 407 yards. He has been targeted 62 times.
Holy crap!
With 38 receptions.
That's rough. It's like I don't know, and
it's not just him dropping the ball because like he's really good at security. Like, so you can kind of tell. But then you look at Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has been he's played in 9 games. He has 313 yards. He has been targeted 54 times and he has 25 receptions. It's hard. It's rough out here to be a Falcons fan, man.
Yeah.
But they just have one of those rosters, bro, where I'm like, it doesn't seem like an NFL roster. Like the biggest question for me, I was like, okay, Drake London and Kyle Pitts are getting all this time to develop and try to be those guys, and then they're gonna get Calvin Ridley back. But then they go right before the trade deadline and trade Calvin Ridley for basically nothing to the Jaguars.
So here's what I would say to just to say, if just to put it in perspective, is that remember one thing, that the draft they took Kyle Pitts, they could have taken Justin Fields or traded that pick to somebody who wanted to take Justin Fields and got even more picks. So is because
they picked at 5, right?
They picked 4.
They picked 4.
Yeah.
They should pick
it's 4.
That's who they should have picked. School.
Or shoot, Rashad Slater even. Like either one.
Yeah, those guys.
I mean,
Lord.
It's like,
Panay is better. Has had a better.
Well, yeah.
So far, but Slater.
Because Rashad Slater is injured. He's injured and he is out for the year.
But it's just one of those things. I'm sitting here looking through through the other games. I mean, the Panthers are a dumpster fire, but I love it's the Taylor Heineke, right? I love PJ Walker. I have since the XFL. He's not an NFL quarterback.
Oh, speaking of XFL, AJ McCarron got drafted in the XFL. That's just a little.
I got one of my buddies. I actually know him. Brandon Silvers that went to Troy. Like he got drafted to the Commodores, I believe, as a quarterback.
Yeah, I didn't follow it. I just saw like a notification on my that AJ McCarron got drafted.
Speaking of people that I used to go to school with and stuff, one of my buddies that I played ball with and went to school with in Jacksonville, Chris Westry. He ended up going to Kentucky. He played for He was on the practice squad for the Cowboys. He's played last year and some this year for the Ravens, I believe. And he's actually being brought into the Steelers right now, being looked at to potentially be made the roster. So that's pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Maybe he can get you
um,
some sweet merch.
I'll see. Cause like, uh, I've always told him, I supported him because like he is tall, man. He's a tall cornerback because we used to play safety. He's like 6'3", 6'4", like skinny, but he runs a 4.3 40. Like he's big, but he's anyways. Um, so the Panthers, right? Like, what? So let's talk about it. Trade deadline, because that's what reminded me.
Mm.
What were your thoughts on the trade deadline? Because your team as well as my team was we were the two teams that were probably the most active, coincidentally, through the trade deadline.
Well, I was psyched. First of all, it started with for at least for the Dolphins, it started with trading for Bradley Chubb um, from the Broncos, which we desperately needed. And crazy enough to understand is that we traded for him in week 8 or whatever, and Emmanuel Ogba just got injured and he's done for the year. So like we traded at the perfect time, and then basically got our replacement for a guy that happened to get injured a few weeks later, which was incredible. But part of that trade was Chase Edmonds, which I wanted to get rid of anyway because he could not catch a ball to save his life. So the Dolphins needed a running back. So they traded a 5th-round pick for Jeff Wilson Jr. And holy crap!
He's had two 100-yard games, right, or something like
He's
that. I know this
he's played in 2 games and he has 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like,
yeah, he's been playing insane. Which did you know? I saw the interview. Raheem Mostert.
yeah,
He did not know that trade had happened until like he was in the locker room and somebody asked him about it, and they were like, "Yeah, man, how do you feel about the Chase Edmonds for Jeff? Like them trading Jeff Chase Edmonds to get Bradley Chubb?" And he was like, "Oh, we did." And he's like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "But and you get your old running mate back and Jeff Wilson like coming over," and he was like, "Huh?"
no.
And it was just, and I was just like, "Damn, bro, I know you ain't ready for that man to come take your job," and he did.
So I was just whenever you get a chance, the Dolphins posted a 10-minute mic'd up Tua mic'd up from the Browns game. Oh man, you gotta watch it. It's incredible. Like compared to Tua last year, and how like his demeanor. And granted, we went on a 7-game losing streak, but then we went on a 7-game winning streak. But even if you look at the demeanor, and even all of the players as a whole, because obviously it shows the whole. It's 10 minutes long, so it's bits and pieces from the whole game, and it's incredible what the culture is in Miami now compared to what it was under Brian Flores. Unbelievable. It swells my heart. In being a Dolphin fan for over 20 years, and knowing that for the first time, we actually have a team that can that's enjoying playing and being a family, and all being led by Tua. It's incredible.
What they have going on is how I think most players feel. Um, some players, I know college can be real hit or miss. Like Najee was like he didn't really feel at home at Alabama. It was more business than everything. But what seems to be going on in Miami is how you feel on a high school football team. Like you're like that camaraderie. We're out here. We're like that's my brother. Like somebody talks about your running back. Like nah, bro, he's the best running back in the league. Y'all crazy. And then y'all have basic. I mean, people did were drastically wrong about Tua.
I mean,
But
I
it also
stood.
helps that you have
Yeah.
two of the fastest receivers in the
Right,
league.
and don't get me wrong. Like I've always been 100% on Tua. Like I mean, I'm 100% supportive of the team.
I'm about to
Um,
say, well, you're 100% trusting the process.
right, 100% trust in the process. I mean, whether if I was 100% on Tua, as long as the team continued to be 100% on Tua. Like that's how I said. As long as we didn't go to Booty Warrior, like that's all that's all I that's all I cared about. So but when it comes to I bought his jersey. I was all in on Tua for and granted I saw, and this is something I've said and I've told everybody that I know, is that I saw things in Tua that I never saw in Tannehill. Even though he wasn't playing a great football like he is now, I saw things that I never saw in Tannehill, and that's those were the things that I attached myself to. So when it came down to when he finally has weapons, you're now seeing that stuff to the nth degree, so to speak, and that's the like the difference in in the way I look at the Dolphins, and that's the way it's been for me for the last 3 years, and why I always send he's going to take that next step. He's going to be good as soon as we get him some players around him. Like you can't be great if you have less than 2 seconds to throw a football. Like I mean, you can't be great if the people you keep throwing the football to keep dropping the ball. You can't be great if you throw a deep ball to Jakeem Grant and he he has it in his hand and then nothing. Like like you can see the flashes, and that what in my eyes that's what you expect from your first and second year quarterback. You see the flashes, just like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or whatever. You see the flashes, and you develop what they're doing well. And you develop what they're doing well. You put the pieces around them, and then you see if they can make that jump. And Tua made the jump for sure.
So, right now, you have two receivers in the top, two of the top five receivers in receiving yards right now.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill is number one with 1,100 and basically 50 because he has two off of 50, so 1,150. And then Jalen Waddle has 870 yards.
Yep.
That is insane. With Jeff Wilson being able to actually provide a run game for you guys, uh, it's getting scary. Y'all are ramping up. I think that the two acquisitions, from an outside standpoint looking in, y'all traded for, at the time, he was the number one sack leader. Right now, he's fallen. I mean, I don't think he's gotten a sack since he's went to you guys. He had 8. I think he still has 8,
I mean,
or
he
he might
said,
have 8.
yeah, I think he got at least a half. He got at least a half a sack against the Browns. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so,
I'm looking at it right now because I actually do want to know that because Bradley Chubb still has 6 sacks on on the year,
yeah,
but
yeah. I think he had 5. I think he had 5 when we traded for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which brings me to, since we were talking about sacks real quick, I want to talk about the Steelers real fast. My boy Alex Highsmith is number 4 with 8.5 sacks on the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super stoked. He got 2 sacks in T.J. Watt's return, which is awesome. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But but no, looking at it, who at this point has shocked you the most? Like, what team has shocked you the most when it comes to whether it can be somebody that's just like, it could be the fact that
Well,
that
let's
the
do this
team
first. Let's do this. Let's go over the playoff picture right this second, and then we can go into that because so right now, the playoff picture in the AFC is the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the
Ravens.
the Ravens, and then Tennessee, and then the rest of the AFC East.
Yeah.
And in the NFC, you have
Is it 16? Is it
it's
6 teams or 17?
seven teams. The
Seven.
rest of the AFC East, it's the Bills, the Bills, the Jets, and the Patriots that have the wild cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it's set up. That's actually Oh, I don't know. Hold on. The Bengals and the Patriots are currently tied, sir.
Yeah, well,
Five and
the
four.
Patriots have the tiebreaker right now.
Oh, they
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
They do in fact.
The Patriots have the tiebreaker right now, um, but that's so that but that's the AFC. And then so I'm just going to talk about the AFC first, and then we can look at the NFC. The the most surprising thing is how for me is how good the AFC East actually is. Like I expected both the Patriots and the Jets to be under 500, and they're not, and it's just it's crazy to me. And as obviously a Dolphin fan, I'm kind of biased, but that's just I mean, for this far into the season, for all four of those teams to be above 500, and obviously we have a team another division on the other side that also has four teams over 500. Or no, are the Commanders 5-5 or 5-4?
They're 5 and 5.
Okay, yeah, the AFC East, every team is over 500, and it's just that's incredible to me. 9 games, 9 and 10 weeks into the season, just unbelievable. And then going to the NFC, you have the Eagles, the Vikings, the Seahawks, and you wanted to talk about the Seahawks, and then Tampa Bay, and
And
then
Tampa's 5 and 5.
Sorry, 5-5. Yeah.
Yep. No. Do you want to hear the craziest part about all of that in the NFC South?
Uh-huh.
Atlanta's in second place at 4 and 6.
It's gonna be a tough race for that division.
Well, it's like, hey man, who doesn't want to like draft late on, even though we sucked?
Right. Have a terrible record and then still have to still draft in the high 20s. No, but then you have the Dallas Cowboys. You have the Giants. I mean, if anything, the Giants have to be the one of the biggest surprises of the year. Granted, they are showing their weaknesses, but I mean,
they have the number one rusher in the league right now.
Here's
Saquon is bad.
It doesn't matter who you play. What matters is you getting W's. So if you are 6-3 and you are third in your second or third in your division, and you have the wild card by 3 games? I think they have they're currently like 3 games up in the wild card. Like, that's great. Like, it doesn't matter what teams you've beaten, what teams you haven't. If you are that far ahead, that is good, and you just have to make sure that you hold on to enough lead that you make it to the playoffs, because we know by looking at there have been numerous teams that were expected to be bad that have won playoff games. I mean, the Broncos with Tebow won. The 7-9 Seahawks beat the Saints. Like there have been numerous teams who have made.
And the Giants are 1 game ahead in the from just ahead of the Cowboys. But the Cowboys are one game ahead of basically 1 to 2 games ahead of everybody else. Yeah. The 49ers are the only other team that has 5 wins. Other than the Commanders.
Yeah. Yeah. And granted, the Commanders and the Giants and the Eagles and the Cowboys will all work itself out, because they all have to play. They still got tons of games they got to play against each other. Same with the Dolphins. The Dolphins still have 3 division games. The Jets still have 3 division games. The Bills have 4 division games, I think. Like,
how does it feel, the Bills, to be currently in third place?
I think the Bills. I think the Bills are finally facing reality, and that's not that they're not a good team. They're a very good team, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I was surprised when the Dolphins beat them, and I was surprised when the Jets beat them. But I will say that their weakness is the same weakness it's always been. They cannot stop the run. And to be
And
honest,
also, when they can't stop the run, they also can't run the ball.
but to be honest, and even if you go to the last year, their pass rushers are good, but they are only good against bad offensive lines. Like if you put them up against a good offensive line, they don't get sacks. They don't get pressures. They're only good against bad offensive lines. And you can go back and look. Like they mostly keep the good offensive lines, like they don't get to the quarterback. And that you can look back at the Dolphins, like the Dolphins game, the Dolphins put tons of pressures on Josh Allen, and Tua was mostly clean that whole game, and it was because that the Dolphins have a above average offensive line now. Now it's not great, but it is above average, and that's enough.
So I have to ask you, once again, us looking at the playoff picture, who is your biggest surprise, in like as on each side, I should say, in the AFC? Who's surprising you the most this year?
Well,
For me, good. I mean, you can say one that surprised you, other dog, but
yeah, the well, I mean, it's like I said, I mean, really for the NFC, I'll do the NFC first because that's really where my biggest surprise was, and my biggest surprise is the Giants. I mean, the Giants at 6-3 or 6-2. I mean, I mean that's incredible. They were terrible.
7-2.
7-2.
Yeah, they're 7-2
Yeah,
currently.
I mean they were terrible last year. I mean, and they didn't really upgrade their roster. So I mean, like, I mean they added some pieces, but nothing like significant like a Tyreek Hill. Like I mean they didn't move the needle other than
The
at the
biggest thing,
coach. Like it's incredible.
the biggest thing, I feel like they anchored their offensive line, and they got a healthy Saquon back.
Yeah, I mean
That's the two
they
biggest things.
drafted Evan Neal, right? Like I mean that, and
He started
he's
right
been
tackle.
pretty good. He hasn't been great, but he's been good,
He's
right?
been solid. The
Yeah,
word I would use is he's a solid starter on that right side
yeah.
for them. And because like before they were only like they didn't have a side they could really like go on, and Danny Dimes was really just running for his life half the time. And we know Saquon has that X factor ability to where like his first year in the league, their offensive line was one of the worst, and he was breaking runs for 60 yards and stuff. So that's just what he does. Um, I'm a piggyback, and like I said, the biggest surprise for me was on the NFC side was the Seahawks. They're currently number one in the West. They're only ahead by a game, but the thing is, make sure that I have this correct, because this might surprise you. Yep, that's exactly what I thought. Did you know that the Seattle Seahawks have scored the most points out of every team in the NFC offensively?
No, I can't say that I would have known that.
They have 257 points, and the next highest is the Eagles at 246.
Has Seattle had their bye yet?
No, they're 6-4
Okay.
currently, so they've played 10 games.
So I mean that's part that has there's a factor there, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's I mean that's
so I
still
mean, like but it's one of those. So the reason it's kind of like you'd like to break it down. Their defense hasn't been very great in the past. They had lost. They got rid of Bobby Wagner, who was their anchor.
hmm,
They didn't have like for real any great corners out there, um, or just like really any super names. They drafted Boye Mafe, who has been playing pretty good. The biggest one was a receiver turned cornerback that ran an insane 40-yard dash, Tariq Woolen. Everyone thought that he was going to be a developmental corner, and he's come in and he is actually the number 2 defensive back in the league currently with 5 interceptions, behind C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson is was the biggest steal of the offseason. I mean, unbelievable.
Well, they had Honey Badger and yeah, I mean, but they got picks, and
they got a second round pick. And if you were going to tell me for a second round, yeah, if you're going to tell me I could get a second round pick for somebody who has 6 interceptions, I'd be like, hell yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, so like, but whenever you're looking at the Seahawks, they went young, and it was everyone was like, oh, everyone kind of went into, like, from everybody that I've talked to, and I believe we talked about this a little bit, like, we didn't really expect them to be good this year.
No, not at
and
all.
then Chris Carson's retirement at the beginning of the year, their offensive line was one of the worst going into the year. They got Charles Cross, who's been playing really well this year, off and on. He's kind of been sputtered, but he's been solid, kind of like Evan Neal. But he has a harder job because he's playing left tackle. But he was more natural at that position, is what people were saying during the draft. And then Kenneth Walker has been playing phenomenal, even though he wasn't the starter going into the season. And then the biggest thing, when they traded Russell Wilson, and everyone was like, "You're insane." Obviously, he didn't want to be there, but like, you got back Drew Lock, who was just he had a fair, I wouldn't say fair chance, but he's a backup, and you got Noah Fant, and you got a lot of picks for next year. And who would have thought our man Geno Smith, man. Geno is number 5 in passing right now.
Just so we're clear, Geno's not my guy. He was drafted by the Jets, so I don't.
No. I just say that as the world's like.
If you're a Jet,
nobody was really rooting for Geno. Let's be honest. Nobody was really rooting for Geno, but he is number 5 in passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I believe that he has one of the best tandems in football.
Yeah. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are pretty great. Like,
right. And nobody talks. They're like, oh, well, they just got DK over there. And it's like, bro, Tyler Lockett has one of the most consistent. Like, I think I need to look it up, but I can't name the last time. I don't think he's had 1,000 yards in a season, like, consistently. Like, and that was insane. He actually, in one of these recent games, he dropped in his NFL career. He dropped his only pass in the red zone, for an end zone, like while in the red zone, like for a touchdown pass. He dropped his first one of his career.
This year
in the end zone. Yes.
Oh wow.
Insane.
That's incredible.
Like, he is a freak, and like people he's just. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, but no, like they're my big surprise of the for the good, and then if I had to touch on the bad, it would definitely be the Rams being hot garbage.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously the Rams go without saying. I don't think you need to explain, like. Go into detail as to why the Rams are bad. We know why the Rams are bad.
They have scored the least amount of points in the NFC.
I think my surprise. Well, I hate to say it that way, but because it's not really a surprise, but I feel like it was a surprise of the NFL. Yeah, I think the surprise of the NFL, like on the NFC side, is that the Arizona Cardinals are bad. Like, I don't think anyone expected the Arizona Cardinals to be bad. But with that said, is that, again, and I've said it before, is that Colt McCoy somehow can win games that Kyler Murray can't. Like I don't like.
Hey man, listen.
Like,
Listen, all I have to say about that is injuries.
look,
Like,
all I'm gonna say is that
well, and they haven't had D Hop the whole year, albeit that was his fault, but that's still a factor. And
Yeah.
then you lost Hollywood Brown for the entire season, traded for Robbie Anderson, who hasn't done anything. And then you traded away Christian Kirk, who is top 5 receiving.
they didn't trade him away. He went through free agency, but
free agency.
but,
But you lost. He's
yeah.
actually he's 11th in receiving this year, which is I didn't think it was going to be a thing, but
yeah. But I mean, like Arizona like is has been and I would say I'm going to go with the Colt McCoy thing real quick. Is that Colt McCoy is
Colt
a winner.
He's a wiener.
He's a winner. Like he's a Tua-esque is what I'm getting at. He may not put up the crazy go nuts stats, but he's a winner. Like and that's something we don't you can't quantify it, so we don't pay enough attention to it.
I've always said that McCoy is the one quarterback I wish would have got a fair shake in the NFL.
He all he does it's like Taylor Heineke, like just like we were talking earlier. All he does is win. Like he does.
Taylor Heineke after the win Monday is 10-9 in starts.
Like and so that's not great, but I mean that's still that's better than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's 20-20.
I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Well, I'm telling. I can do a whole video on what's wrong with the Chargers.
I feel like it's just the Chargers' curse at quarterback. Like you're going to be statistically phenomenal, and you might win games and have decent things, but you're never going to get anywhere.
No,
it's kind of like the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like, woo, we're doing good, kind of, maybe sometimes, and then the playoffs come around, it's like we're either not there on the cusp or we're in there and we just lose first round.
I tweeted earlier that somebody said that if Justin Herbert had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, he'd have 6,000 yards and 70 touchdowns, something like that. I was like, and Joe Lombardi would still have him throwing screens and 5-yard outs.
Yeah,
it's like there is so much wrong with the Chargers that and it's not and like as a Dolphin fan, I could trash Justin Herbert. But there's so much other stuff that's wrong that I can't even blame it on Justin. I can't even blame it on him.
I don't think it's his fault at all.
I was talking to a Charger fan. I said I can only blame one loss on Justin Herbert, and that's the loss to the Chiefs, because not only did he throw that pick six, he then got the ball back and wasn't able to do anything until he was down 2 scores. So he had the opportunity to make up for his mistake, and he wasn't able to. So that's the only loss I blame on Justin Herbert. Everything else is completely out of his control.
Because he is currently 6th in passing, while only playing 9 games this year.
Well,
he's
he's played all of the games that he's.
But I'm saying they went through a bye and everything.
Yeah.
Well, he's only behind Geno by 30 yards.
Yeah.
So,
he's
in games.
Yeah. He's still playing good football, and he, and with that said, he cannot do enough to. His coaching staff is so bad. I don't know who's.
He has the same problem right now that Justin Fields has.
Well, some people would say Justin Fields' coaching staff is good. I don't know. I don't know that I would, but clearly they.
Which brings me to we kind of got off of the trades for a second there, actually, but that brings me back to it. I apologize if you don't mind us taking a step.
Yeah, we're running out of time anyway, so we can go back to what we.
So My disappointment is the Steelers so far on the AFC side. But that was, we have a winnable schedule moving forward, so we'll see how things can get better. But we were also very active during the trade. We made two trades. We traded away Chase Claypool, who was our number 3 receiver, for a second round pick to the Bears. 2 games with the Bears. I'm thinking.
Sorry, repeat that because you cut out.
I said in his 2 games with the Bears, he has like 3 or 4 catches for like 30 something yards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a trade for the future. That wasn't a trade for the now. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Chase Claypool is going to be better than any second round pick they could have taken at wide receiver.
Maybe, I don't know. This receiver class coming up is very talented, but we'll see. Because like as a Steelers fan, I know the ins and outs of Chase's, like the issues that he has. Like for his frame, he can't stay on his feet to catch balls. Like he has that problem where he's always leaving his feet to try to jump and catch things when he doesn't have to, and it stops him from getting further yards, and it makes for easier breakups. That's why he loses contested catches.
Jalen Waddle does that. So
that's infuriating. That's infuriating.
Yeah.
But we also made a trade. We sent a 6th round conditional pick for a 7th round pick, and which I also think is conditional, and William Jackson from the Commanders. But that one didn't work out as well because he was dealing with a back injury, and we have placed him on a 4-game IR on IR for the 4 games, which is fine because in placing him on IR for 4 games, because they're taking most of his salary, we will probably not have to give them their conditional pick because he's not playing.
Sure.
And so we get a potential good corner out of it, keep our pick. So it's.
I mean, you got to give them something. I mean, we'll give them.
That's why it's conditional.
Well, the condition is probably for it to be a 7th. Like it's probably.
I'm saying, but we keep our 6th though. Yeah.
And you get a 7th back anyway, so it's basically a wash. So.
Right, but we just get a player who, well,
they were gonna cut him anyway. So I mean, it makes sense.
Because of his contract, and he didn't. He's a man corner, and we wanted him actually in the draft anyways, and we ended up selecting Artie Burns, and everyone knows how that worked out. Very Garbaggio. But anyways, Steelers just won a game. We had for 250 yards rushing. It was phenomenal. We played really well. I did want to quickly talk about my surprise, and it's the Jets.
Yeah, well, that would have been my surprise too. But the thing about it is that I think that it's a great story, but I think that with Breece Hall getting injured and Zach Wilson still not showing that he can be a franchise quarterback, I think that story is going to be coming to a halt very fast.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but also, for them to be 6-3 and these other franchises to have franchise quarterbacks and still be 3-7, 1-7, 3-6, and all the jazz, but we're about to get prepared for. I believe next week is the first week that Deshaun Watson gets to play.
Not next week.
No, I thought it was
So this week the Browns play the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And that's week. So this is week. We're currently in week 11. We're currently in week 11. They've already had their bye, so it's 11-game suspension. So
that's right.
It's not until week 13 that he can play. So they play Houston. So the Browns play the Bills this week. I'm not sure who they play next week, and but maybe it's the Patriots. but it's they. But then the Browns play Houston after that, and that's when Deshaun Watson comes in. But this week he can start practicing with the team.
The biggest thing that I've noticed over this season of football, which has been one of the weirdest, I think, not negatively, but like just one of the most different seasons I've seen. Um, a lot of teams suck.
Yeah. Well, I think it's it could be that that makes a degree of sense, but I think it's more
Or it's more
that
competitive.
it's more parity is showing. It goes back to looking at like the NFL versus like the college counterpart. Like there is clearly a because even if you look at the playoff picture right now, there are still several teams like if you look at the NFC, the whole like NFC is in the hunt. Like they're only 2 games back from being in a wild card spot for
And the
most of them.
AFC the same way.
Yeah, so it goes to say that while yes there are some bad teams, the bulk of the teams are in the middle. Like I mean, they're just you can't say that the Titans are a powerhouse team because they haven't beaten anybody. Like they if you look at the Titans record, they have 6 wins over teams with no winning records. Like they
Mm,
like for real.
that is, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
if anything, it may be one team, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure that they played 6 teams with no. They beat 6 teams with losing records
yep, they beat the Broncos, the Texans, the Colts, the
twice.
Commanders, the Colts, the Raiders, and they lost by one to the Giants. They got blown out by the Bills. They got,
And they lost to the
um,
Chiefs.
and then they got lost to the Chiefs in overtime by 3.
Yep, they have not beat a team with a winning record. So I mean, like we don't know who the Titans are. And that just goes to say,
I mean, they only play 4 more teams with current winning records as it goes.
yeah, the Dolphins play other than the division games. We play 3 division games. We only play one other team. Um, um, is it one? Maybe not even one other team. I think every other team has a losing record. Oh no, we play the Chargers. The Chargers are 5-4, and the
Mhm.
49ers are 5-4. So we have actually
Nope, y'all
five.
play the Bills.
Huh? Yeah,
Yeah, I was about to say yeah, and
we
the
have
Bills.
yep, and we play Green Bay and
Y'all
uh,
actually, y'all only Green Bay's the only losing record outside of the Texans. So the
yeah,
Texans
Texans
and
and
Green
Green
Bay
Bay.
are
Yep, yep.
2 losing record teams. So y'all actually got a pretty. It doesn't look like y'all have an easy stretch to finish this season out. Like y'all definitely gonna have to scrap, but I think y'all are well on your way to doing so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I mean, if we take that Houston as a win, that brings us up to 8-3. So, I'll I mean, that's I mean, we hope we're looking at trying to win the division. So, um, you know,
I think we're fighting for we're as the Steelers. I mean, obviously we have a way greater jump, but I mean we play the Bengals, who we beat once already, and hopefully we can get something going. But then we play the Colts, it's winnable. Falcons, that's winnable. The Ravens, regardless of how bad they've been in the past or how bad we've been, it's always been a 3 point game. But we play them twice. We play the Raiders and we play the Browns again.
yeah, but that's
It's
Deshaun
a
Watson Browns. So we'll see if that's
Deshaun
or my
Watson
bad,
hasn't
my
won
bad.
a game.
Booty Warrior Browns.
I was about to say Deshaun Watson hasn't won a game against TJ Watt. That's all I got to say.
I'm fine. You can. I say if you could put T.J. Watt in a room with him, I'm fine with that. Anyway,
No, because then he might want a massage.
oh yeah, T.J. Watt give him a massage for sure. Anyway,
But no, so far at this point in the season, it's been very surprising. There's been some good football.
it's been some
Um,
great football. We had the Vikings Bills game. That was
oh my god,
incredible. We haven't even talked
Bro,
about it,
we had
man.
I've been waiting for an interjection to be able to this weekend between college football and NFL football. We saw three of the greatest catches in football potentially ever.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Justin Jefferson is literally playing Madden.
we thought that Stephon Diggs catch was insane before that Justin Jefferson catch happened.
No,
That
I just
Justin Jefferson
I
catch was
can't believe that ball didn't hit the ground. Like it was incredible that the ball didn't hit the ground. Like unbelievable. And granted,
that
I was
just goes to show you how freaking huge their hands are. Because like if I do this, like I can't grip a ball like this, like just with my wrist like that. He did this, and like his hand was like around the ball.
I have one question for you, and I think we really need to wrap it up. Is that do you, if you're the Bills, do you snap that ball into the end? Do you snap that ball out the back of the end zone and take the safety?
Yes,
You would, and then give him
I
the
would have.
ball. Yeah,
Yes,
I would absolutely have done it the same. Yeah,
I think what they did was wrong,
I would absolutely. No, I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm just saying if I'm the coach,
but they lost.
I am
So
snapping that ball out of the back of the end zone. I am not giving like when you are on the 1 inch line, the literal 1 inch line, like so much can go wrong. You have to hope your defense can make the stop. Like you cannot count on if you're not going to take that ball and throw it, like you need to shoot it out the back of the end zone. If 2 points does not lose you the game, you give them 2 points. Like
yeah, because that's oh man, because because yeah, that was really rough. I do have one more topic, and then I'm good to close things up.
all right,
And it's a real quick one. Um, I do want to acknowledge because I did mention his name earlier, Justin Fields
okay,
and his 178-yard rushing game against you guys, which was the record-breaking rushing game for a quarterback. He broke Mike Vick's record by like 20 something yards, which was insane. And I just enjoyed the press conference where he was like, McDaniels was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "What'd you say to him?" He's like, "I was getting pissed off because I told him to stop running the freaking ball." And I was like, "Bro, that's really funny." But no, in all seriousness, he is sixth in the league in rushing, and that worries me. Because we were talking about previously, we started this conversation where we left off in concussion, kind of one of the end off on quarterback health and stuff like that, and longevity, as we've talked about in the past. I worry for Justin Fields if he keeps on having to play like that, because we've even seen Lamar Jackson kind of like he still is rushing quite a bit, but it's not that way. Like it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
as much as he's kind of adapted to where he's trying to pass and then run instead of just like run and pass when you
well,
can.
he's using he's using his speed, which Justin Fields is fast, but he's not Lamar Jackson fast. He's using his speed, he's using his agility to evade, and when he knows he can't, he goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Like Justin Fields doesn't do that, and
It beats me because that's how we lost RG3,
yeah,
and and that's how Andrew Luck would. Obviously, it's not nearly the same, but like Andrew Luck is the peak of like why I talk about it. Because of the injuries that he suffered. Like he rushed, he did not go down a whole lot. I mean, he got sacked, but like when he would run, he was running. Like,
yeah.
and we saw the took on him. And like, so I was just wanting to get your opinion on.
Well, I think that's something that
Especially when. Go ahead.
I don't think that's what you said was perfect, but I don't think that's specific to Justin Fields. I mean, look at obviously look at Tua his first couple of years, sacked a bunch. Joe Burrow sacked a bunch. Like these are Like these are things that we are putting quarterbacks in position. I mean, what Kyler Murray has been sacked a bunch. Like I mean, we're talking about young quarterbacks basically getting their body destroyed early before they're even developed into and then they're not even getting the money they used to get. They're getting one third what I'm just saying, like Sam Bradford was the last big contract before the 2012 the 2012
That's a good one,
CBA.
Sam Brad.
Sam Bradford, I mean, he made money. His body was destroyed. He was never a above average quarterback, but his body was literally destroyed. And it
The best
started
example
because
that I can find of a young quarterback is Jake Locker.
yeah,
Do you remember him?
yeah, he played for the Titans.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a great quarterback, but he was destroyed, and he had to retire after like a year or two. He was just, I can't do this.
Yeah, and like the thing is that you look at the rookie contracts, especially if you're not drafted high in the first round, like they're not making very much money. I mean, obviously compared to like what we make, it's a lot of money, but it's like compared to what what
Yeah,
an NFL quarterback could make
it's
the
not
40
worth
million.
CTE or not being
Right,
able to do
change
daily functions with your kids or stuff like that.
exactly. So basically, you're Joe Burrow, you know, if they don't fix this offensive line, I mean, how sustainable is what he's doing? Like, I mean, and what is it about the offensive line that can't be fixed? You've signed three effective starters from other teams, but yet your offensive line is still just as bad. So, just referring back to what you said, I mean, Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, they can't sustain that amount of damage like over long periods of time. Like,
But I give at least Joe's like the Bengals franchise, they at least tried to go out, spend a bunch of money, and like piece together a good offensive, like players that were good and solid, and it's just they haven't meshed together over 9 games. Like there's just not. I mean, Joe Mixon has been phenomenal, and that's great because it keeps pressure off of Joe. But like, yikes, man! Like I just worry. Like I just don't see where the Bears are, it being worth him playing the way he feels he has to play. Which I get it because he's the ultimate competitor and things of that nature, and you want him to give everything because then fans be all up against you and things of that nature. But like, I, bro, he has to change some things. But I know this has kind of been going on kind of long, but I just wanted to hear your opinion on that because like it's just something that's worried me. And they're like, oh no, this is an insane stat, and it's like, look at also thanks by the way, but like there was a time where like his body got beat up to where like he wasn't the same a couple of years. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well,
but
I guess let's end it with what game we're excited to see this weekend. Uh, Dolphins don't play; we're on a bye, so I'm excited to see the Patriots Jets game. I wanna. That's what I'm excited for.
it's the battle for potential second place.
Yeah.
I mean that's what it is. The battle for second place, basically. I'm looking at the docket now. There's some interesting ones. Like this is one of those weekends where like there's a lot of good ones and then there's a lot of. I'm excited for us to play the Bengals, but I have two that I'm excited for. One is the Cowboys and Vikings.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, because the you don't know which Cowboys team is showing up. Like that's the thing, and the Vikings are for once consistent, and that's scary because. Yeah. But this is also the first year, and hopefully it doesn't jinx them. That Dalvin's been healthy this long.
Is it a night game?
It is a 325
okay,
game.
because Kirk Cousins is solar powered.
Yeah, he is. But it is. Dallas is a 1 point favorite.
Where are they? Are they in Dallas or are they in Minnesota?
They are. It's at Minnesota, so it's
Okay,
going to be cold.
so Dallas is really a 4 point favorite, actually.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah.
But actually, my game of the week I
Uh,
am most excited for is the Lions versus the Giants. I feel like that can just be a surprisingly very fun game to watch
well,
because the
yeah,
Lions have been very exciting this year, and they're coming off a win against like a very like high scoring game versus the Bears.
mhm.
And then the Giants to see, like the Giants are only 3 point like favorites right now.
Wow,
So
that's man, frick. The sports books, man, they don't have a whole lot of confidence in some of these high win teams. Jeez.
there's only one game that like the Panthers the Ravens are 12 points favorites over the Panthers. Like everyone else is 8, 4, 3, 3,
What
1,
about
2,
the Bills and the Browns? It's got to be a pretty wide
8.
margin there. Yeah, 8. That's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. So
Um but yeah, no, and but it's just I don't know, man. The Lions like Jared Goff is playing really well. Jamal Williams, I love that guy. I like watching him play. And then you have us, but like I want to see. The reason I'm excited for this game, I want to see Danny Dimes throw the football, and the Lions' defense sucks. That's just they just suck. Um, they're really
who's he?
young.
Yeah, but who's he throwing the football to? Like, I mean,
That's the point. Well, I mean, his leading receiver is Darius Slayton. Um, But that's what I'm saying. I want to see. I'm looking for that breakout because like you're not gonna go into the playoffs and just like run Saquon into the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like Saquon is right now is has the most catches on the team
yep,
and is second in receiving.
yep. Well, I mean that's, I mean obvious. I mean Saquon
I
is
mean,
their offense.
but also Sterling Shepard's been hurt since week 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bellinger, their tight end that he was really getting sync with, has been hurt since week 7.
Yep. And they
And
traded Kadarius Toney. Yeah. I mean you're
but
listing a bunch of you're listing.
one, yeah, Wandale Robinson, the rookie out of Kentucky, has shown spurts, and I hope he has a game like Christian Watson did this weekend for the Green Bay Packers, who I
Christian
wanted
Watson
to mention
played out of his
had
mind
three
for
touchdowns,
sure. Yep. 3 tutties.
4 catches, 3 tutties,
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I love he at one point I think he had at one no it wasn't him. There was another guy. I don't remember who it was, but he had like a total of like 18 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's like maybe that was the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that was Kansas City
Yeah,
Chiefs game.
yeah.
I think that was a Miss Kelsey had 18 yards and like 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think that was against it was either against the Raiders or the Chargers that he had that, and he was like, I think it was they played the Raiders and then they played the Chargers, and they were just like he was like I was all banged up, and they were just on him.
Well, all right then. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode today. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you want to see more content. Hit the notification bell to make sure that you're notified when our content goes live. And yeah, I hope you all have an amazing football week. If you do betting, I hope you win all the money and come back and tell us all about it. So. Y'all have an amazing week, and Maul, you wanna sign out there?
Yeah, man. Just hit the notification bell, hit the likes,
get the comments going, guys. We'd love to be able to talk to you guys about your favorite teams and what's going on in the NFL world. Yeah, peace.
Yeah. Hey, and if we happen to get more viewership, we can try and start doing these live and actually interact with y'all. So
That'd be awesome.
yeah.
Love that. Oh.
Anyway,
And
y'all.
moving forward, won't be all sporadic and all over the place if they're weekly.
Yeah, we're definitely going to make this more consistent. So, also follow me on Twitter at Adani54. We'll see y'all in the next video. Happy NFL.
LOL.